was a hill farm, and they also had a herd of cows, and it was the time of the Depression in the 1930s when I was just little, and the milk was not producing much money at all. In fact, the milk was being poured down the drain because the cost of taking the milk to the dairy where it would be sold again was more than that you would get for the milk. Miles and miles of hills away, you could walk for miles in there, and there's a little burn there that my sister and I used to go and play in the burn, and there's a lot of soft fruit, black currants and red currants, so I remember we used to have to pull them, and the midges would bite you to places, terrible. We used to have a tin jug, and it would be tied round our waist, so we would pull the berries into the tin jug tied round our waist. My father taught me to crochet and to knit. Mother had no time for it. She was too busy doing other things, but in the evening my father would, I remember sitting with him, in front of the fire with him, and me sitting in his leg, between his legs, and him showing me how to knit and crochet. He was very keen on doing things like that, and he would make things out of horn, and he made crochet hooks. The crochet hooks were certainly made out of horn, and that being able to do things out of horn, Brother Jim took on that, and he made these lovely walking sticks. Brother Jim did, and he used to get prizes at the Highland show and at the Yorkshire show for his wonderful walking sticks. And we used to climb the hills at night to watch the sunsets, because of course there's no television or anything, and for amusement we'd walk away up the top of the hills and see the sunset, which was lovely. And that's what I missed very much. I still do miss in England. Beautiful sunset. Not here. I mean, I've no doubt there are places in England where they have beautiful sunsets, but down here I miss them. Father was very much for education, and he used to be able to recite long screeds of poetry, Walter Scott's poems and Burns' poems. And at night, when my mother was probably knitting, Father would sit and read out loud to her story books like Stevenson's and Walter Scott's and so on. So I think there'd always been that sort of feeling of bettering ourselves with education. And I suppose that's why Robert went to university. Because before that, in the family, there'd been nobody been to university except Tom, who was killed in the First World War. He was training to be a vet. He was his second year at the Veterinary College in Edinburgh. And he was killed. And apparently he didn't need to have gone until he'd finished being a vet. But his older brother, Jim, was farming, and therefore that was a secure occupation. He didn't need to go. And my grandfather had said, well, if Jim's not going to the war, Tom had better go. So Tom went to the war and never came back. But he was the very first person of the family that ever went to university. And then brother Robert went after that. And occasionally Mother and I would go in and visit him. And I can remember the barrage balloons during the war floating on top of the buildings in Glasgow. And we had evacuees came out from Edinburgh. These two very nice little boys with their red blazers on, and they had a governess. I don't know where Mummy was at all, but the governess came out with them. She was a German governess, Miss Bashir, and she was a great knitter. And she knitted in the continental style, you know, we knit the ordinary way, but she knitted another way and went, oh, it was ever so quick. And I remember she knitted me a lovely blue cardigan. She was a German, I tell you, and she was teaching these little boys, and she must have run out of paper because she went up to the school in the village and asked for some paper for these two little boys. And I don't know who told what, but the next thing we knew, she was taken away, interned. And she spent the wartime on the Isle of Man, where there's a large internment card. What happened to her? No idea now. So then the little boys went away, they were taken away, and where they went to I don't really know. And with masses of Polish soldiers down on the bank in the Clyde, there was a sort of valley with fields on either side, and there were rows and rows of tents with Polish soldiers in them. And they used to have, Sunday evening, they used to have services, outside services. And my father and I, for the whole family really, went down often to the fields, these flat fields where the services were held. Because on us, billeted on us on the farm, we had a Colonel and Mrs. Damska, and another, he wasn't another one who was he wasn't a sergeant, he was a captain, and his wife. There was two couples billeted on us, Polish people. And through them we got invited to go to these services. And then, of course, on a Sunday afternoon, soldiers, I suppose, hadn't much to do, and two of them came walking and came up to the farm, and probably Jim got talking to them, I don't know, but they were invited in to tea, and used to come quite often after that.